Have you ever felt like thinking too much makes life harder, not easier? Like the more clearly you see the world, the more disconnected you become from it. You're not imagining things. In fact, there's a psychological and philosophical reason for that. Throughout history, people who questioned the obvious, challenged the norm, or simply thought differently have often felt alienated. Not because they were wrong, but because they made others uncomfortable. From Kierkegaard's existential dread to Nietzsche's unsettling truths, deep thinkers have always walked a fine line between brilliance and isolation. But why does that happen? Why does deeper understanding sometimes come at the cost of connection? Let's start with something simple. When someone is physically stronger than you, you might admire them. If someone is wealthier, you might feel inspired or maybe envious, but rarely threatened. But when someone is intellectually sharper, even if they say nothing, it often triggers something different, something defensive. Psychologists call this cognitive ego defense. It's when another person's intelligence feels like a mirror, reflecting not just who we are, but who we aren't. And that reflection, it can sting. Not because the deep thinker is trying to impress or shame, but because their presence quietly challenges how others see themselves. That's the burden of insight. People don't resist new ideas. They resist what those ideas reveal about them. You see, human evolution didn't reward the deepest questions. It rewarded those who kept the tribe together. For most of human history, survival wasn't about brilliance, it was about belonging. The person who asked too many questions, they weren't seen as insightful, they were seen as disruptive. And even today, our brains still carry that tribal wiring. Neuroscience shows that when someone feels intellectually challenged, their amygdala, the brain's threat center, lights up. In other words, being outthought can feel like being under attack. So people avoid it. They change the subject. They reject the thinker. Not because of the ideas, but because of what those ideas make them feel. In social settings, depth isn't always welcomed. People often prefer certainty over nuance, comfort over complexity. That's why confident, charismatic speakers often gain more influence than thoughtful, questioning minds. We reward those who sound right, not those who are right. It's why motivational quotes go viral while philosophical texts gather dust. The algorithm favors clarity over truth, simplicity over depth. And so, the deep thinker, the person who sees through the noise, finds themselves surrounded by silence. The philosopher Émile Cioran once said, "It is not worth the bother of killing yourself, since you always kill yourself too late." Dark? Yes. But within that darkness is a recognition of what many deep thinkers feel. To see the world clearly is often to see its absurdity, its contradictions, its chaos. While most people find joy in routine, career goals, social milestones, small talk, the deep thinker questions the point of it all. That question isn't depressing, it's honest. But honesty, especially existential honesty, is rarely popular at dinner parties. So what do you do when your mind craves depth, but the world rewards simplicity? You don't have to silence yourself, but you do have to be strategic. Embrace solitude, not as loneliness, but as clarity. Great minds aren't formed in crowds, they're forged in silence. Seek quality over quantity in your connections. Not everyone will understand you, but someone will. Choose your moments. You don't need to speak deeply in every conversation. Sometimes, just listening is enough. If you've ever felt like an outsider for thinking too much, don't see that as a flaw. See it as a signal that you're awake in a world that often prefers sleep. Deep thinking may not win the crowd, but it does win something far more rare. A life that's examined, a mind that's alive, and a truth that's your own. Thanks for watching. If you resonated with this message, consider subscribing for more content on philosophy, psychology, and the art of thinking deeply in a distracted world.